everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy at TV. In case you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. Just press the subscribe button as well as turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications when we upload our videos. Don't also forget to subscribe and join, follow, like our other social media platforms. Of course, you're seeing it right about now. Don't also forget to share this video across your platforms. Enjoy the video. All right, welcome back to the program. Anthony Bisong is my guest and is joining us now. He's a development economist. Hello, Anthony, and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, let's get started. Were you surprised with the increased budget yesterday?
Yes, kind of. I was, and then the amount of increase over 4.5 trillion. But the good thing about the increase is they were channeled to growth-enhancing sectors. When you talk about solid minerals, the Bank of Agriculture, Bank of Industry, and even infrastructural development. So that's the good thing about the increase. They were channeled to growth-enhancing sectors.
Okay. I'll come back to that. The question which I was mentioning earlier, around 4.5 trillion naira additional revenue they got from FIRS, government-owned enterprises, as well as customs service. The government, the president in his wisdom has said, okay, let's channel it to the BOA, that's Bank of Agriculture, Bank of Industry, and the solid minerals sector. But having said that, we have a budget deficit already. You know, and the question I was asked yesterday was that, why don't we use it to plug our budget deficit that you are owing, as it were? Why not use that money, that small money you've gotten, to pay what you owe? You understand what I mean?
Sure, I do.
So what do you think?
Okay.
Because majority of Nigerians also think this way.
Okay, yeah, I believe for every budgeting process, there's actually what goes into it. Just like we have the medium-term expenditure framework, so what government has to spend and then what comes in. And I used to tell people that borrowing is part of external financing. That is what government used to fund. So since we have a deficit, and we understand that in getting these loans, or the deficit you're talking about, that means have already been devised by different agencies on how to assess this. So you cannot have an excess and then try to breach that gap. I believe the excess was meant to drive development, drive growth, and which I believe the sectors it was channeled to. But going forward, maybe that is what the Minister of National Planning needs to take into cognizance, that when there's an excess or there's a projected expectation or revenue expectation from government, it should be channeled to servicing debt or trying to breach the deficit. Deficit, I mean, if you look at the current budget, it's actually huge. So that is what the government should look at. But I believe critically, them who are there, they understand the system and then believe that economic diversification is key. Right now, we are reliant on oil, and then if you check like the solid minerals, it's key to driving economic growth. So it's important that while you borrow, you also look out for a means of sustainability. Since oil, we understand that it's a volatile market. Since oil is a volatile market, there is need to ensure that you diversify your economy to ensure the growth of non-oil exports. That is of which solid mineral is one of them, and agriculture, which you just mentioned earlier, it's one of them, and growth of MSMEs, who are the drivers of the economy. Basically, they are non-oil sectors, and that can push for it. So it's an idea that it's a plan that has already been in place. So the projected revenue, which will come from those government-owned agencies, as well as the Nigerian Customs, as well as the FIRS, would definitely be a boost for growth and then ensure we remain on the path of goods, because that is sustainability the government is looking forward to achieving.
Are you surprised that the 2025 budget hasn't really kicked off? Especially bearing in mind that we needed to go back to the January to December cycle, which the president promised us at a time, that we haven't gotten 2025 budget up till now.
Yes, even you know, when it happened during the presentation, and then even when the National Assembly said that they are looking forward to completing the budget cycle, that is the approval and all of that by the end of this month, I too was shocked. But you know, there are lots of issues that come with governance. Sometimes you have best case scenarios, and sometimes things happen, and then you have to alter that. But we believe it's all for the good of Nigeria, you know, towards growth. So if we can extend that, we hope that by 2025, We have a period that between maybe February, which the budget, hopefully just like the National Assembly said, would be approved, to December, we should be able to at least go through the cycle, and then by 2026 budget, we know we're starting by January. But it was really surprising. I think we've not had this for a while.
For a while.
Yes, so having it now is actually a surprise. And like I said, it's something let's see what happens and let's see what comes out of it.
Budget of 54 trillion naira that is proposed by the executive. Is this budget enough for Nigeria's size?
Okay, well,
economic size, yes.
Yes, for me, going by what you're putting up, because when you're assessing budget, you look at it from the point of view of what is being budgeted in line with global benchmarks, especially when you're looking at education, health, and if you look at our budget, defense still takes last chunk of
the
budget.
It's been doing that for the last 15 years.
Exactly. And then we're really, well, I would say, I think it's a war where it's just like every day we keep getting reports of insecurity and all of that. But we hope we go past that stage. But my worry is about long-term growth sectors, like human capital development. When you talk about health has been dropping, even education. If you check if you do analysis of the recent budget, for 2024, we had about 5.1% for health sector, but right now it's about 4.99% of the budget appropriation for health. So it's really something I believe government can do better. 54.2 trillion for me. I believe yes, it's if you are doing budget, you need to factor in your revenue and expenditure, as well as all of that. So I believe it's what we can achieve at the moment. So expanding it will require more borrowing. You understand? And that will require, the deficit would really be much. But I believe with what is on ground now, that can sustain us in the path of growth and the projection for economic growth for 2025.
Do you think that we have a capacity to expand more in terms of budget size, in terms of revenue, in terms of generating more revenue to expand other sectors of the economy? Because I've even heard from the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning saying that we are underperforming even in terms of our budget, that Nigeria is supposed to perform along its peers like South Africa and co, where our budget should be more than 50 trillion. Our budget should be in the size of even 100 trillion, if possible, even 200 trillion naira, bearing in mind our population. Of course, we are the largest, we have the largest population on the continent. Yet, this 54 trillion, I was using an FX rate of, I think, 1,499, and it came to $36 billion, for a population of 220 million people. So if you want to take a look at it, budget per capita, per head, it doesn't make so much sense. So, at 54 trillion naira, is there capacity to do more? And where are those areas that we can do more? Because you talked earlier on about growth sectors.
Yes. Yeah, just like the solid minerals, it's really untapped. That's the potential we have. It's really untapped. And then if you look at that, generally a non-oil sector, from industrial, MSMEs down to agriculture, we're really untapped. There was a study we did on geographical indications where we have unique product in Nigeria, and that can feature us more. So if we can move from this oil-driven monoculture economy, which oil is chunking in so much of the money, government revenue and expenditure, if we can diversify in real terms, not in printing, not in theory, if we can diversify economy, we have lots of mineral resources. If we can diversify economy, grow our agricultural sector, I think we can as well move towards that 100 trillion naira budget, where we know, okay, we're racking so much from agriculture. The contribution of agriculture to the economy is really high. It's up there. And then we have the solid minerals as well. It's really, we have lots of them. And if you go informally to most of these areas like Zamfara State, most of the state down the west, they have minerals there. But the issue is they are being exported in informal. The cost does not match what is obtainable in global market. So we need to formalize that sector, make it, and then as much as ensure the contribution to our growth GDP-wise, it's possible.
Additional revenue, let's talk about that a bit. 1 trillion naira to solid minerals. while we're seeing Bank of Agriculture as well as BOI recapitalization. People like us have been speaking over the years that the BOI needs to be recapitalized. The Central Bank of Nigeria is, I think, a shareholder, yes. Partly owns the bank, as it were, the BOI. So for the president to say, okay, now 500 billion naira will be earmarked to the Bank of Industry to recap it, Bank of Agriculture to having some semblance of attention, because this is one bank that is supposed to catalyze agricultural growth in the country, yet it has been neglected for many decades. So what do you think, especially around the Bank of Agriculture?
Okay, in the course of before today, I was interacting with a colleague. I know this recapitalization of Bank of Agriculture has been ongoing even from the past administration, but we are not seeing anything. Right now, they really don't have asset base, just like I was sharing with my colleague. Year in, year out, they have issues. And during the Anchor Borrower program, we were told over 100 billion went through the account, went through that bank, and they actually did not, non-performing loan is still very high, with the Bank of Agriculture. So we just hope that the present administration will put an eye on the Bank of Agriculture to ensure they do the needful. The issue is they are to support smallholders, farmers with loans, ensure there's farm input, they ensure the growth of the agricultural value chain at that level, and then agribusiness. So if there are mandates and then they are monitored and then the margin of this non-performing loan is reduced, I believe that will be in the path of growth. Then for BOI have been doing well. They've been supporting, they've been looking at they have better capital base than even the Bank of Agric, So supporting them, like I said, it's like MSMEs in Nigeria are the drivers of the economy. You understand that they contribute a very significant portion to growth and then employment in Nigeria. So support them, ensure you provide incentives for them in form of capital, ensure you as much as possible the enabling environment. I know this present administration has not really talked about addressing the challenges to doing business, that is the ease of doing business. So if we can do that, to get that in place, I think those two banks would be better positioned to support growth. Like I said, at the end of the day, most times the good thing about economic growth is not something that maybe just a one-off budget can do that. So it needs to be continuous. So it's a long-term. You might not get the result immediately, unlike monetary policy where CBN comes up with rates and immediately you see the
effects.
Yeah, you see the effects. But for those sectors, you need a long-term investment, and government needs to be deliberate about it. So when we do that, I think we can achieve estimated growth rates.
Our second interview, of course, will be looking at the state of businesses in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Yes, with my second guest. But if we still dwell with this 2025 budget, do you think that it will introduce more inflation?
Definitely. There's.
You think it would introduce more inflation?
Well, it's normal. You understand. If there's, government expenditure will definitely increase, and then there'll be more money. You understand. But I know CBN are rightly working on this to ensure, they have means of ensuring checks and balances with the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. So there's a projection of 15.7%. Inflation rate for these
from the executive.
From the executive. So we hope
the CBN has not told us theirs.
Yeah. So no, definitely, I think they are working.
So we don't know if they are aligned with the executive.
Absolutely, yeah. But I believe with this increment, everybody was shocked with the over 4.5 trillion increase. But definitely, going by economic principles and then economic theory, it is expected. But I hope it will not be as much as projected, and the central bank is able to manage that with regards rates, adjusting rates to accommodate for the high increase.
Now, an average Nigerian that heard this news yesterday, just a few hours ago, would just ask the question, okay, if President Tinubu increased the 2025 budget by 4.5 trillion, what does it mean to me? That's one. I was online yesterday, I was trying to gauge the reactions of people. Some people were like, okay, another avenue of corruption. I know they've put, do you understand? All those, so many Nigerians are a bit skeptical now. So what do you think? What will be your explanation to Nigerians now as to what it is for them from this increased additional money being put into the budget?
Okay, from my own perspective, no, when I saw the increase, I was expecting to see it maybe in recurrent expenditure or maybe in areas where, maybe increasing cost of maybe state house or government stuff. But I think, like I said, I was happy when I saw the
So
sectors.
was it a pleasant surprise?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was because I've actually looked forward to economic diversification in Nigeria, especially the non-oil sector, because I know there's so much we can gain from that sector. So when I saw the appropriation to that sector, I was really pleased. But another thing is beyond allocating the amount, there should be budget performance review.
Yeah.
Did they really get the amount, and what was it used for? That is the challenge we've been having with our budget over time, where we have monies coming in and then it's not really accounted for. So if our governments, if the present administration can be deliberate to ensure 100% performance and then of the budgets and whatever they have budgeted for each sector, I think we would. But for Nigerians, I would say, looking at the sectors, we hope we need to hold BOI, BOA, and then Ministry of Solid Minerals accountable as well. See to it that the amounts appropriated to them translates to economic growth. That is the idea. Translate to a better life for Nigeria, even if not in the short term, but let us see the effort and then let Nigerians be pleased. Okay, no problem, since it's going towards growth enhancing sector, we can do that. And then if looking at the infrastructure, it was also a certain percentage was appropriated to critical infrastructure like railways and road reconstruction and rehabilitation, as well as the military, again, having a chunk of it, the barracks accommodation for our military men, personnel, and then military aviation to ensure better surveillance. So like I said, the disbursement was, for me, it was a pleasant, it was really something that I feel if it's appropriately done and then it's monitored and above all implemented, we can smile and then say, yes, Nigeria is on the path of growth.
Okay, I want to say many thanks for joining us on today's edition of the program. Let's continue to watch the space and see what happens. But just like you said, we really need to see the good use of the money, and not just talking about allocating now, but even releasing it for those things to be done.
Absolutely.
And when it's being released, for them to be accountable, for it to be transparent, and those things used very effectively. So thank you very much, Mr. Bisong. All right, I've been speaking with Anthony Bisong. He is a development economist, and we've been looking at the 2025 budget. Thank you for making it up to this minute watching the video. Thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Like, follow all our other social media platforms where we keep you up to speed with fantastic interviews, as well as markets, personal finance, business, and economy information. This is the best place to be. I'll see you all again in the next video.